My name is Andy Glusenkamp. I'm the Director of Conservation in the Center for Conservation and Research here at San Antonio Zoo. Our title says it all, conservation and research. We work on all sorts of things, and each project requires a different approach and different set of tools. For example, our Vice President, Dante Fenolio, leads Project Selva, which is working with indigenous groups in the Peruvian Amazon to help them to protect that rainforest ecosystem. Another very different project is our Texas Horned Lizard Reintroduction Project, where we have what we like to call a horned lizard factory, our laboratory where we breed lizards from throughout South Texas, and then we hatch those eggs, and those offspring are released at our release site, which has been managed for native biodiversity for about 14 years so far.
We try to give them the best head start that we can to give them the biggest advantages, to be able to carry on those genes and work into natural populations that are surrounding. So we're very excited and proud to be part of ReTexifying Texas. Oh, it's amazing seeing these little tiny, perfect miniature horned lizards back out there, and immediately they do what they do. They start burying themselves in the sand, they eat the ants, and it's just awesome to see them doing what they should be doing, where they should be doing it.
We absolutely have to have reliable equipment with what we do. A lot of the organisms that we work with, we're the only ones working with them. So we can't afford some sort of catastrophic loss. We need top quality equipment and materials, just like we depend on highly trained staff and veterinarians. When we were selecting a water tank to basically be the core of our groundwater storage system, we chose an Enduraplas tank because they're very, very strong. And we know that we're going to be able to rely on this tank throughout. We can install it and not worry about it again. This is really important with what we do, in part because everything we do, all of the projects that I described, are funded by grants and donations. So we really can't afford to install a tank twice. Something that we're doing in collaboration with Dean Hedricks at the University of Texas is we're searching for 2 blind catfish that are known from about 800 feet below where we're sitting right now, and also a blind salamander that's known from a single specimen collected in 1951. This little jelly white blind catfish is actually the great white shark of its ecosystem. So they're incredibly well adapted to the specific conditions of the deep underground aquifer, and we're the only facility in the world that's working with this species right now. This is an example of the type of organism that we work with, these groundwater organisms that absolutely require clean, abundant water continuously. The Enduraplas tank ensures that we're going to be able to provide that for these rare and endangered species.
We used to have to drag 200 feet of hose and fill up cattle troughs with carbon filtration and run that for a week before being able to use it. With the system we have now, we can use the water from the tank instantly, so it saves us a lot of time and effort.
So a lot of people might wonder, why are we so obsessed with these little white blind catfish or some spider with no eyes that no one's ever seen? You know, what's the big deal about these things? Who cares? I'll point out with the blind cats, their existence depends on the exact same water that comes out of the faucet for most people at home. So we, in essence, are sharing that aquifer with the blind cats. The blind cats are in a way, a canary in the coal mine for that aquifer. We certainly don't want to see any dead canaries, so we should care very much about those things. We know that we are losing species, described species, at an incredible rate. Allowing a species to be lost is tantamount to burning all the books in the library that you haven't read yet. Why do I make this connection? We're all familiar with these biomedical discoveries, these innovations, and these therapies that are derived from natural sources. I would argue that the value of each of those organisms was essentially goose egg before that discovery. Now we recognize that those organisms and what they can teach us and help us with our own issues are priceless. Every component of these projects, from the donors, the partners and agencies that we work with, the volunteers and landowners, and the equipment that we depend on, are critical to fulfill our mission of securing a future for wildlife.